key administrative officials. This is a global threat. This is the threat on our vital national security interest, because Bangladesh, with a population of 180 million people, and if you see the surrounding areas, we have about 300 million people right there, many times larger than Afghanistan. And what happened in Iran is happening here. What happened in Afghanistan, this is the prelude, what is happening there. So we have to take actions right now. And what we requested President Trump is to bring back or help bring back the constitutional order in Bangladesh. Constitutionally, Mr. Sheikh Hasina is still the valid Prime Minister of Bangladesh. And if we have to make a change in Bangladesh, the constitution has to be followed. It's simple. Like one of our panelists said, that Dr. Yunus is completely illegal as per the constitution of Bangladesh. So he is not following the rule of law that is dictated in the constitution. And that is why the chaos is there. And as you can see, the video you have seen, of all these incidents, he has not made one statement condemning this. So he's basically allowing it. So we have written to President Trump, Vice President Vance, our Secretary of State, and we are expecting these things to follow through. And also, like I said, as an American citizen, we have the right to request our Congress to investigate where Bangladesh is heading at this point.
Thank you. Next.
Yunus has some powerful allies in the West, including Hillary Rodham Clinton. She recently wrote in a timepiece on Yunus that as he shepherds Bangladesh out of the shadows of oppression, he is restoring human rights, demanding accountability, and laying the foundations for a just and free democracy. Can I have your guys' reaction to Hillary Clinton's statement of being a prominent supporter of this?
It's a totally false claim by Mrs. Clinton, because you have heard the panelists with document. It's not rhetoric. It's a documented evidence. And also purpose of this press conference is that the journalist will follow up and do the investigative research and find out the further truth. As we mentioned, this is not a problem with 180 million people of Bangladesh. It's a problem facing the region as well as across the globe. So Mrs. Hillary Clinton's statement is totally false. And title of this conference is that we are unveiling the mask of President Dr. Yunus, who portrayed himself with the powerful friends like Hillary and Bill Clinton, even President Joe Biden, that he is a ambassador of peace. But the evidence we presented is an ambassador of violence. He is a sponsor of violence. He has destructed a peace-loving Bangladesh who is used to quote by foreigners or in international institutions that Bangladesh is a role model. Now, within just 8 months, Yunus has converted this country into a failed state, and we are afraid that this will be another Afghanistan. And not only that, this negative effect of Yunus regime will spill over the neighboring countries in Asia and across the globe.
Yeah, I will just supplement with him. With all due respect to our former Secretary of State, what she has said, she has the freedom of expression, she did it. But in our statement, what we refer to is Senator Chuck Grassley's investigation into the contribution of Grameen America to Clinton Foundation. Now, I'm not saying there's any wrongdoing, because we don't know the circumstances and what was given back to him. So this is the Congress to find out exactly what was going on. If everything is good, it's fine. Let the chip fall where it falls. Secondly, he made a statement, Dr. Yunus, openly in public in Paris about President Clinton's electoral victory in 2016. My point is, if he's not a citizen, well, he can make a statement, definitely, but he was getting into the partisan politics of USA. Whether he's a citizen or not is a gray area. We don't know. So there are things that need to be addressed by the Congress. So we request a congressional briefing followed by a hearing. And if Hillary Clinton's statement stands, fine. I mean, we have documents contradicting our statement at this point in our country. Yes.
So one more question about USAID. Says there's several points here. You've mentioned that USAID funds were used for various purposes that led up to the so-called student movement in Bangladesh that even spilled over here in the U.S., where protests were happening across, at least in the East Coast. If you can maybe elaborate on that a little more, given the fact that there's more investigations into USAID going on within the country. And also at the same time, if you can also touch, since it's Holocaust Memorial Day, we're beginning to see flags of the Third Reich or the Nazis being flown all over Bangladesh, as well as flags supporting ISIS and other jihadist elements across the world. And you've also shown a picture of the flag of Israel and India and the U.S. being stepped on. Is it, in your view, ironic that the current State Department still hasn't made a strong condemnation against what is happening? And plus, do you also think that it is at least strange that with the lack of statements being given by the current State Department, there's still elements within the State Department that still sympathizes with the Muhammad Yunus regime in Bangladesh right now?
So, I think there are a couple of things. Number one, as a concerned U.S. citizen, I think is our duty is an obligation to inform our Congress and Secretary of the State, and that's what we've been doing. I think we cannot keep a close eye on Bangladesh. Situation is serious, as you have seen. What is happening in Bangladesh is not only an issue in the neighboring country. This is the issue here. If you recall, once there was an article back in 2000 or early 2000, Bangladesh was the cocoon of terror. We have seen that ISIS member was trained, Al-Qaeda member was trained in Bangladesh. Now ISIS flag, same ISIS flag is flying in everywhere in Bangladesh. Country is running by Hizb ut-Tahrir. Its fact is simple. And Hizb ut-Tahrir is a terrorist organization. We banned this organization. Now, with our tax dollar through the US aid, we literally funding this same terrorist group who attacked us on 9/11. We have not forgot 9/11. So these terrorists are harboring in Bangladesh with our tax dollar. So I think it is US Congress and Senate responsibility to immediately intervene on this serious matter.
Let me start Let me start from the your end of the question. The swastika, Nazi salutes. This is unprecedented in Bangladesh. If you remember, I don't know how many of you can remember during Iran's fall of Shah in 1979, when they started doing this, burning US flags. What happened? What followed? They actually attacked US embassy and took hostages. So, like I said before, the Dr. Yunus, being the poster child of the West, didn't even condemn these things. There is a picture of Bin Laden. On two sides is holy. I mean, I wrote in my piece. One was Chhatra Shibir, a student organization of Jamaat Islam, and another was Hifaz Islam. Both are part of the government. They were not arrested. The government didn't condemn or ask question, why did you do this? And it's Bin Laden in Bangladesh right now. So you can see the change of the atmosphere. Your question about US aid. President Trump mentioned it at least 3 times about the involvement of US, or the funding of US aid going towards a very unknown entity. We don't know the name of it, but we know the Road to Freedom of something like that, some organization, their key officials went to Bangladesh, Ambassador Richard Milam and John Danilovich, and there is what they say came out in the major newspaper in Bangladesh, the Daily Star, And they said very clearly and openly that they are being funded. They were funded and the fund was used. We want to know why you used it. How did you get the fund? So as an American citizen, tax-paying and law-abiding, we need to know because the country is in a turmoil. So when they went to Bangladesh, like in February, I have the documents and this is in my, this is a link there I provided. So that's one thing. Another thing they say openly and clearly that US made a mistake in 2007 when there was a military-backed interim government that US should not have pressured the Bangladeshi military to host a election over there. So what they are doing actually, some of the people, I don't know whether they're in the administration right now, they're influencing the delay in returning to democracy in Bangladesh. And that is definitely counterproductive for our national security interest in that region.
Just quickly, just follow up. Do you believe that this is a greater effort to contain India and its allies in the region? That's number one. Number two, there's recent reports that Bangladesh has issued issued new passports with saying this passport is valid except for Israel. I mean, emphasizing on the fact that any connection to Israel is invalid, as it was sort of before. So with all this going on, do you believe that any congressional member in the United States right now that has condemned anti-Semitism should at least look into this issue and come to a conclusion that at the very least something is very, very wrong in Bangladesh today?
Yeah, first of all, I'm surprised that the State Department statement that was given, that is an internal matter of Bangladesh, this is lamentable. I cannot accept it, we cannot accept it, because this is not an internal, anti-Semitism is not an internal matter of any country, period. Secondly, what you say about the Indian situation, if you look at our region, we are a densely populated country surrounded by a densely populated region of India. And one of the advisors, and he's still in power, he's still an advisor. When, I think back in November or December or somewhere there, he is actually redrawing the map of Bangladesh, taking over the entire northeastern India and part of West Bengal and making, his dream or whatever. If he was somebody else, it's okay. I mean, he can dream whatever he wants to do, but he's a responsible guy in the government. So his expansionist views is quite evident. The government's view is quite evident. And if you take the note on this issue that the ISI chief was visiting Bangladesh with his team members, they visited the most sensitive area of India that is called Siliguri corridor. They visited that area. They visited the where Arakan is bordered with Bangladesh, that area. And if you recall, ISI ran terrorist camp in Bangladesh for almost 20 years to upstage and destabilize northeastern India. It was Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, when she came to power in 1996 first time, she completely dismantled those networks. Again, when BNP and Jamaat came to power in 2001, this restarted it. And this government is keen to allow Pakistan to have a proxy war with India using Bangladeshi soil. And you have seen the atrocity that was just committed yesterday in Kashmir. So the regional destabilization is a serious threat. And we are very ordinary people in this country, and we implore our representatives to look into this issue very seriously, just not brush it aside that this is the internal affairs of some country. Sure.
What do you think India's role or responsibility is to return order and safety for Bangladeshis, and then specifically Hindu Bangladeshis? I'm seeing that India has repeatedly urged Bangladesh to protect its minority Hindus, saying they were being targeted in the Muslim majority country since Yunus took charge. But Dhaka says the violence has been exaggerated and it's not a communal issue.
So I mean,
Yeah, this is why he's alone.
obviously, there are two things happening, right? Dr. Yunus wanted to basically abolish and get into entire 18 million religious minority from Bangladesh, and to implement Caliphate Islam in Bangladesh. That's their objective, and that's exactly what he is doing. So doesn't matter what you and I say, he's going to continue to unite because he has a goal and objective. And sadly, mainstream media is not covering the news that is happening because Yunus has a high power, high paying PR firm across the globe and portraying his narrative. So the issue is one for implementing Caliphate Islam, and secondly, Yunus is committing a slow genocide that we must explore that. In 1971, these same people committed a genocide in our motherland with the help of ISI. And today, the same people are committing another genocide. 3 million people was killed in 1971. And today, people are killing every single day.
As I understood, in 1971, India came to help restore order in Bangladesh. Do you think India is needed to restore order in Bangladesh now as well?
Sure, go ahead.
May I supplement this thing? As your question, we are law-abiding citizen of the United States as well as Bangladeshi Americans. The India surrounding 3/4 of the country of Bangladesh, and it is a largest security threat for India as well, and for the Seven Sisters is twice the size of Bangladesh, also threatened by Dr. Muhammad Yunus. And he offered China to take over those Seven Sisters. Our concern the same way, we are expecting Indian government should intervene to restore the peace and put pressure on this Yunus regime. In the meantime, 3-4 steps taken by the Indian government, and we are thankful to the government, but expecting further growth. Thank you.
Let me just add one more point. India cannot afford to have a ultra-rightist, religious, terrorist government in Bangladesh because it is surrounded by almost four sides, even including the Bay of Bengal. So it is India's own interest. They can tolerate to some extent, but at one point they have to react for their own interest. So I think we have to wait and see what happens.
I will just answer to this question about the passport issue. It was taken off by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in 2021 as reinstated. No country in the world has that clause that you cannot, this passport is valid for everything except Israel, not even Pakistan. Secondly, about India's role, that we think that India should build a coalition of countries and strongly pressurize Dr. Yunus to step down and the constitutional rules should.
Yeah, that is a question. Please, both of you.
Yeah.
One after another.
So, listening to this, especially about the rise of Islamist groups, we've actually been long warning about China's support for Islamist groups and regimes as part of its overall strategy to destabilize. And seeing this, even despite the Islamists in Bangladesh, they're in power, yet the first thing that they do is they cozy up to China, to Jamaat-e-Islam. They've been meeting with China, and so do you believe that these Islamist groups are complicit in hiding or shielding China from its ongoing genocide against Uyghurs and other predominantly Turkic Muslims in occupied East Turkestan? That's my first question. And secondly, do you think that China's support for Islamist groups like the Jamaat-e-Islami and other Islamist groups in Bangladesh is part of its overall strategy to advance its geopolitical influence and to counter its enemies like India and the United States and others?
That's a very interesting question because I wrote an article on this. So, Jamaat-e-Islam, as they always claim to be the vanguard of Islam, never made one statement about the genocide and the atrocities that is going on the Uyghur Muslim. China has a huge interest in Bangladesh because of their BRI, and they have been given a sensitive airport construction very near to the Indian border, that area. You were rightly pointed out that Jamaat Islami leadership was invited by the Communist Party of China. They went there. Their student wing leaders went to China, a special visit, and they're also given the port facilities in Bangladesh. So it's again, I'm going to go back to our representatives, our congressmen, senators. The poster child of the West, by both the sides, they have promoted this Mr. Yunus. He's actually doing two things that is completely harmful for our national security interest. Number one, the rise of militant Islamist group and the dominance of China. He's promoting both of this at the same time. He should be called to question right now. I mean, the statement of the State Department is very, again, I'm saying lamentable, and we want to, through this press conference, draw attention of our Congress members and the senators to look deep into the situation in Bangladesh.
It is, no, okay, if I pass, please.
Yes. So this is Vishnu from South Asian Herald. So you mentioned you requested the US congressional members to investigate Bangladesh, right? Who did you meet in particular, and what are their response? And then did you also reach out to any international agencies like International Human Rights Commission or the ICC, National Criminal Court, to investigate the atrocities in Bangladesh?
No, we have not specifically requested any representative yet. We wrote about this alarming situation to President Trump, GNI Tulsi Gabbard, our Secretary of State Mark Rubio. So through this, and we have documented the evidence about this rise of Islamism and this his corruption allegations and the human rights violations that has been made by Mr. Jainal Abidin is very extensive research paper. So now, through this press conference, we want to say that we'll reach out to congressmen and women and the senators to have a briefing as soon as possible, followed by a hearing on this one. We need to get their attention, and this is why we are here.
Just to add one more thing, through the Bangladesh Human Rights Watch, we have actually informed all of the Congress and Senate a detailed letter outlining what is happening in Bangladesh. There was one hearing was done with the State Department by Congressman Swazi very early on, and then we also asked other Congress members to follow, and also there was actually the floor space by Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, and they were also followed by Congressman Sitanadar. They all spoken, but we need more Congress members to hold a hearing on the Foreign Relations Committee and other subcommittee, Ways and Means Committee, and then have a full hearing on this matter. Also, there was a report that published by the United Nations, and we also rebutted the report, because that report was one-sided narrative that portrayed by Yunus, didn't really include what is happening at the ground. They didn't even interview the people those should have been interviewed. They didn't visit the place they should have been visited. So those are the things that we're doing in our small way.
Okay,
Another example.
Also, I just want to add one point. As you mentioned, we reached out to the High Commissioner of the Human Rights Commission, Volker Turk, multiple times. We gave them the details outline, what happening, and his report published on the media. It was very controversial, and we opposed on that issues. We also notified to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, multiple times. So that's one ongoing process. Our another team already notified to Geneva, the Human Rights Commission. They arranged a meeting along with them, and it is a continuous process that we are pressing on.
Okay, very important, Ambassador, while we are talking, right? The law advisor, Dr. Asif Nozus, verified Facebook post. He's writing in Bengali. He's questioning who is behind this atrocities, the terrorist attack in Kashmir. He's saying that it is probably Amit Shah and Ajit Doval. Amit Shah is the Home Minister of India, and Ajit Doval is the National Security Advisor. It is their doing. Basically, what he wrote, in short, that there is no way that the arms can be transported from Pakistan to India, and this terrorist attack was done. But he actually deleted it, but we took the screenshot. So this is his advisor.
What I wanted to add is that we have also written all the congressmen, 535 and 100 senators, about these lies of fundamentalism in Bangladesh. So we are trying to update and appraise them. But for reaction or action, we need to follow up vigorously. And we are planning to do that.
So given the time restraint, just another quick question. So right now, what is your solution? What is the solution, the ideal solution that you're looking for? If you can summarize that for us, in total, but also at the same time, if maybe, would you agree with this following statement, that the Biden administration, the past Biden administration, particularly Anthony Blinken's State Department, was complicit almost in its entirety in creating the situation where we see in Bangladesh today, where Nazi swastikas are on the streets, Hindu, Christian, and Buddhists are being killed, and anti-Semitism is essentially being seeped into the very core principles of the country. What would you say to that statement?
Well, I mean, the statement by one of the advisors, current advisors, when he was describing that incidents during July and August, they were contacted, and he mentioned very clearly, they were given a sanctuary by U.S. Embassy in Dhaka. The statement by Volker Turk has an international dimension to it. The interview by Mike Pence, you can see the extent to it. And this Biden administration, I don't know why, especially the role of Peter Haas is definitely questionable during his tenure in Bangladesh. And how Mr. Anthony Blinken really brushed aside what is happening in Bangladesh is really lamentable. So, in short, what we are appealing again for the investigation is this corruption and the rise of Islamism and the human rights violations. But we also want U.S. administration to directly get involved in Bangladesh to restore constitutional democracy once again.
Your question was, please, your question was what is the solution or what we want. It's very simple. We have provided you evidence that illegal government of Dr. Yunus is human rights violator. They don't believe in human rights. They are promoting the fundamentalist Islamist terrorists, and it's a corrupt regime. So solution is the international community, including the United States. President Donald Trump mentioned that $29 million were paid from USAID. In fact, it is more than that. 21 million in addition that was given to India. So India's money, they claim that it is given to Bangladesh. So total from USAID, 50 million cash were distributed to overthrow a legally elected constitutional government which has track record of providing economic development, tranquility, peace to the people. So solution is that number one, Yunus government must go, not tomorrow. It should we gone yesterday, because that's the problem the point of all these problems, as we have been discussing. So Yunus must go, and there should be a free and fair election, and bring the constitutionally elected Sheikh Hasina, who is, this government has still 3 more years. So one solution could be that let her stay 3 more years, then free and fair election. Or if all the political parties and the friends of Bangladesh, like India, USA, European countries, if they believe that there could be a free and fair election, but not under Yunus, because he is already a corrupt regime, and also he is supporting the students' parties, which is, we have seen that they are terrorists, they are not students. So Yunus is supporting these students' terrorist organization. So his regime cannot be neutral in free and fair election. So point is, our demand is, he must be thrown by any means, and then have a free and fair election and restore the democratic constitutional government in Bangladesh. And USA has lot of roles to play, because they have interest in Bangladesh. As you have been hearing lately, that there will be a proxy international war in Bangladesh. It is supported by Yunus. What is the reason? That if there is a war, there is a political instability, he can step in the power. His supporter is telling that he should stay power another 5 years. If it is so, Bangladesh will be destroyed totally. Sovereignty is almost gone, because this Burmese, the Arakan army, last week they entered 10 miles in Bangladesh from the border, and they celebrated this called Jol Kelly. The Yunus government did not do anything to prevent that. So Yunus government and Yunus himself is a threat to people of Bangladesh, is threat to the region, and threat to the globe. So he must be gone, and no sensible superpower or countries believing in democracy should support him anymore. Thank you.